Hi guys, it's Lily. I just wanted to quickly show you some things that I have made up to use on my jelly plate. At the moment the sun is shining outside and it is not windy at all, so I am going to go and have the maiden voyage of HMS Gelli Plate. Woohoo! So I've been playing around with making some textures for said jelly plate. And I started off trying to use my embossing folders with the fun foam. Now I bought this big wodge at Hobbycraft and it was £5. I think there's about 40 sheets in there. But the embossing folders weren't really making a good indent in them. So I scrapped that idea and I just used some heavy card. This is actually too thick to go through my printer, so that's why I'm using it for this. So I've just put some of the embossing folders that I have through so that I can make some texture on my jelly plate. And I cut these all to A6 size. Which is half of an A5 sheet, if you don't know. For those of you in America, that would be a quarter of an 8.5 by 11 sheet. That's how big these are. So I did those, and I pulled this one out. I think I got this free in a magazine, or maybe got it on eBay, I don't remember. But it's too wide for the embossing machine that I have. So I can't actually use it. I don't have like a big shot. I really do need to get longer battery packs for this camera. Anyway, as I was saying, this doesn't fit in my embossing machine because I have the Silhouette Cameo, which is sitting right here. I don't have a die cutting machine that you buy the separate dies with. But I wanted to be able to do embossing, so I bought the Sizzix Texture Boutique, which I can obviously use just for embossing because it doesn't cut anything. So that's why I can't use this on an embossing machine, because it's not big enough. The gap isn't that wide to take the plate. So I'm just going to use it as it is and use it as a texture plate for the jelly plate. So we'll see how that works. So that's those. And as I picked up all that fun foam, I thought, well, the embossing folders aren't working. What else can I do with it? So I just started cutting up some random shapes and sticking them onto a bigger sheet. These were all just offcuts from me trying to do the embossing. I mean, this is one. I don't know even if you can pick that up. There you go. That's as deep as it goes. Obviously your embossing folders and embossing machine might be different, but that's as good as my one gives, so that isn't really going to make a print on my jelly plate. So I've just used these, I've snipped them up into little pieces. I found that glue stick won't hold it. Will your glue stick hold it? I don't know. I don't have your glue stick, I have my glue stick. And the glue stick that I have is this one, which came from Asda's. I love these. They work really well and they're super cheap, but they're not strong enough to hold fun foam. So I don't know what glue stick you use, obviously. That might hold it. Give it a try and find out. Let me know. So I've just used double-sided tape to hold this down. If it had been handy at the time, I probably would have used a hot glue gun. But if the double-sided tape doesn't hold very well, then obviously I can go back and hot glue it down. This one I've just engraved some patterns some lines into it using the end of my awl. So there we have it. So I am going to go outside and play with the jelly plate, which is very exciting, and I will show you some of what I've come up with. I dare say I'll be gone for a couple of decades, because apparently it's very addictive, and once you start you can't stop. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you, and I will add on to this video, I think, rather than doing it separately. I will just add on, so keep watching if you want to see what I came up with and how these printed on the maiden voyage of HMS Gelli Plate. Okay, so I've brought you downstairs to show you the carnage of my table in the garden, because I've decided I am going to jelly plate out here. That bag there is all of the stencils that I've made myself. So as you can see, there's a load of them, so I'm going to be playing with them. I've had a quick go with the jelly plate. This board is one that I use if I'm painting outside, so I don't actually paint the garden set. And then if we span around here very quickly, sorry, I'm not trying to make you feel sick, we've got a drying station. So what I came up with, because the breeze has kind of picked up a little bit, what I've decided to do is put my airer out. Hang on. Oh, that's better. There we go. I obviously knocked that without realising it. Stupid girl. What I've done is I've put the airer out, and then I've just used clothes pegs to peg each individual sheet onto a rung like that, so that I can get more on there to dry, and then as I work I can come back, pick one of these up that's dry, print it, bring it back, print it, bring it back. So that is the plan. That is the carnage over there. So I'm going to crack on with printing, and then I'll show you some of what I've done when it's finished. Okay, and here we have, ta-da, the aftermath of the jelly plate attack. In all honesty, I'm not in love with it. And I think I'm not in love with it because I want my prints to look all pretty, like Patty Tolly Parish's, and at the moment they're not doing that. So I'm in a grump because they're not working how hers works out. Basically, you know, it's like picking up a paintbrush and being in a strop because your painting doesn't look like a Monet. You know, that's where I'm at right now. But I did start to love it a bit more because I found that the bigger the stencil, the easier it was for the plate that I've got. I've got the 8x10. So if I'm using some of my own made stencils, I'll just grab one out. Obviously, the larger it is, the more area it's going to cover than a small one. And I have a load of small ones, which, like, these things are full of small ones that I couldn't use, because, well, I could have used them, but I didn't like the fact that it would, you know, you'd end up inking up or, you know, putting paint all over your plate, and then you'd have a tiny little area that gave you your print, and then there was all this other paint, or you had to put other stencils on there, and then it all looked a bit mismatched, and it bugged me. So I've decided that the 8x10 I'm going to use for the bigger stencils, and you know, like 12x12s, or I've got one here which is possibly an A4, roughly the same size as the plate, That's a Dilutions one. So I think the larger ones, I'm happy with that. I think what I want to do is get a smaller jelly plate, and then I can make more use of the ones that I've made myself. This here big bag full is all of my ones that I have made. So there's a lot there that haven't really been utilised today. I also found that I seem to prefer printing on fabric than I do printing on paper.
Hun, come quick, there's an alien in the garden.
Yeah, I know, it's talking to me through the window. Stupid man. Would anybody like him? You know, I can send him out in Happy Mail, that's fine. What was I saying? Go away! I don't care if you're just going to the bin, go away. Yeah, anyway, I prefer... That wasn't a jelly print, that was spray painted. I seem to prefer printing on fabric, but what I would like to do with it is to make journal covers or, well, any kind of fabric thing out of prints that I've done myself. So I've decided I am going to get some of the smaller ones, and that will be what I use for fabric. Anyway, this was an offcut that I sprayed with the, what's it called? Deco Art permanent sprays. It does still make it quite crunchy. So it's still not really ideal for clothing, which is a shame because I had a plan for spraying some cloth. Although this actual fabric is thicker, it's more of a canvas than the cotton that I've got there, so I don't know. I had planned on jelly printing over the spray, but then changed my mind. I'm not completely decided with that. I did play around with some of these mini canvas boards. They're 80C size. Nowhere near finished, obviously. They need other stuff to them. So I played with them, and then the rest is what I've jelly printed onto paper. Again, because it's acrylic paint, it's quite stiff. Oops. That one's just all manner of mess. It looks better on camera actually than it does in real life. And that one's kind of cool. I did pick up some of the iridescent metallic even. So there's those. I'll move those that way. That's the fabric ones. I have just been through my pile of papers and have siphoned off all the ones that I can use parts of, which is here, and the others that I don't think I can salvage have been given to the kids to tear up or whatever they want to do with them, or they can go in the recycling if they don't want to do anything with them, but they've got their own scrap bag of stash of stuff. So yeah, I said, well, take these and they can go in there, and if you think you're going to use them, kind of thing. Anyway, I did some on smaller pieces of paper. I'm not bowled over by any of them, to be fair. This one was one of those backgrounds that I did ages ago with just using the credit card, but I did 2 stencils over the top. Parts of them are quite good, but as a whole I'm not completely feeling it, but I don't know, we'll see. So I quite liked how that one came out. I think once I attack them with pens and whatever else, you know, I can do something with it. But I guess it's all like everything else, it's a learning curve, you know. You're not going to be fantastic at it the first time you pick up a jelly plate. That's just the way it is. It doesn't help that the acrylic paint that I used feels really chalky when it's dry, and I really don't like the feel of that. It's the Do Crafts Artiste stuff. I think it was like $1.50 a bottle for those little bottles. So whether or not if I get better quality paint, if it won't feel kind of chalky and horrible, I don't know. I'm going to invest in a small set of better quality ones just to see and go from there, really. The background on this one was actually my wipe off sheet for my brayer, and then I put one of the stencils over the top just to get the extra you know, the paint that you get on your stencil. That's what came off of there. That's another brayered clean off. I actually like these better than a lot of the jelly prints, actually, because parts of these are really pretty. Some of this I've done on just ordinary printer paper, some of it is on cardstock. That's another brayered one, and that's another brayer one. I love this middle bit here. And that's another brayer clean up. So we've got those, and then we've got these. Some of them are double-sided, some of them aren't. I don't know if you can see, I quite like the texture of the grey. I can tell you what I'm going to do with it yet, but that's not really the point, is it? There's various bits of ghosting on there. That was the only one that came out well with those fun foam things that I made, which just fell apart. So I'm thinking that I will try again with those, but I'm going to do it with hot glue so that it really stays put rather than all just peeling off and not working. Again, bits of this one I like. That was just, that was the ghost print. That looks kind of, I don't know, kind of graffiti art in a way. This one will look better when I've got some of the detail. This is the skull one that I showed you, the Dilutions one. Once I've outlined some of that in the background, I'm hoping that that will kind of pop a bit more, and I'm planning on putting white pen onto the black, maybe doing a bit of sort of doodle or something on it. We'll see. But this was all just with stencils. I didn't do any sort of texture stuff today. I did get some texture combs that arrived in the post after I'd finished packing away. That one I quite like. So I will play with those. I'll show you them in a second. So that was just straight away through the stencils, which, you know, I quite like it. I won't leave it as a whole. I will cut it up into segments, but yeah, we'll see. That one I'm still on the fence about. I kind of like it because there's so many different layers of colour, but I also see a mess because there's so many layers of colour. That one. Again, I like this side, but then this would be better as a background with something over it. It's got a tiny bit of shimmer to it. That was all metallic. This was one where I realised that using a 12x12 stencil was probably going to work better. That was a clean off. That one I quite like. I quite like that one too. And then again, parts of this one, I don't like the bit that's all bright pink, but this bit here I can cut and use for something. So that is, you know, Gelli Print 101 done. And if I just grab this out of the way, I'll show you. This is how my nice new brayers look now. How funky is that? I mean, that in itself would print wonderfully, but I have no idea if there's a way I can get that to happen. Probably not showing up on screen very well either. But the brayers themselves look really cool. And these are what arrived. They're actually for working with clay, but I'm going to use them with my Gelli plate. They're plastic, so I don't have to worry about it being sharp and sort of gouging anything. But they've all got different edges on them. She says it might help if you can actually see, wouldn't it? You got that one? Just. Right, there we go. So that is what arrived today after I'd finished packing away, of course. I didn't have much luck using this. You can see it did get used, but I didn't have much joy with it. It does two different, you know, they're interchangeable. That one's a different thing, but it didn't come out very well. I think that this will probably work better if I put more weight onto it and sort of impress it, that's probably not even a word, is it, into the Gelli plate. But I don't know, I might have another go with that, I'm not sure. Like I said earlier, it doesn't fit in my embossing machine anyway, so it's not like it's not going to get used in the right way. I didn't actually use any of these embossed thingies that I showed you this morning, mainly because they were tucked under all of the other bits of paper and paint and various other things that were out, and I forgot all about them. So they're ready for round 2 of Gelli plate excitement. So yeah, there we go. I am going to have a round 2, and I think I've potentially learnt a little something about what works and what doesn't. So I'm hoping to do more on fabric, because that's kind of the way I was hoping to go with it, I think, really. But I guess it's all just a work in progress. I think for round 2, hopefully I would have got a smaller plate by then and a smaller roller, so that I can use smaller than an A4 sheet. I tend to prefer the A5 size or smaller for working. Obviously that's good if you want to bind it in a book or something, as an A4 size, but I think with a smaller one I'm more likely to get on better with it personally. But I don't know, we'll see. I'll play around some more with the 12x12 stencils if in the future I manage to get hold of some other 12x12 stencils, because I don't have many. That's going to open it up more and give me more use out of my 8x10. There is the possibility I could cut down that one, but I really don't want to do that, because I would rather wait and then spend the money to buy a smaller one, because if I cut that one down and I mess it up, or I find that I don't like it as much, I can't put it back together again. Whereas if I leave it whole and then wait, buy a smaller one, and I don't get on so much with the smaller one, then that can go on eBay or whatever, and you know, it's not an issue. So there we have it. That is the maiden voyage of HMS Gelli Plate. Let let me know what you think, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you later. Bye.